Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Got the 15-minute chart of Ethereum up here. Bitcoin looks pretty similar to that. Hello. Thought I'd jump on real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time streaming. I did want to address the events that seem to happen overnight. I'm not very comfortable taking an overnight position at this point. I think if you guys saw my update video, it was kind of late last night, but I did make one. I did mention trading was okay, but no overnight positions and keep your stops tight. And looks like that was good advice because, yeah, we pretty much cracked back down. It's not very bullish when this happens, but at the same time, we definitely could come down, make a higher low at some point, and then continue higher. Yeah, ETH and Bitcoin, man, they're basically the same. I mean, they're pretty close. They're not exact, but they're following each other. So Ethereum, Bitcoin, they're pretty close to the same. So if we zoom out a little bit farther, which we don't need to go much out farther than the 2-hour chart. Hold on, guys. I'm streaming from my living room, so I got my kids here. Ethan, yes, make quick hugs. Are you done cleaning? Finish cleaning, then you can play. Ethan, it won't take forever. So what's up with the whole ARK thing? You mentioned the whole ARK thing, quiet. Still looking bullish short term, Frederick asks. Hey, what's up, Diogo? So what do you think, Frederick? You seem to be catching on pretty quick around here the past week or so. So what do you think, short term bullish? I see backpacks, I see a receipt there. I see your Ethan thing right here. I see a football over there. I see that. I see this. Look around, Ethan. Just look on the floor. Alright, guys. Frederick says not much selling. Think it can drift up further based on light volume right now. So that can be true. That can be true. The volume. This is kind of what I see. Okay. So I'm going to go down to the 15-minute chart here. So here's that neckline in Ethereum. Even though this didn't touch it, this is a test of the neckline. Let's go out to the 1 day. I know I'm switching time frames a lot on you guys, but this is just how I look at charts. So I like confluence between different time frames. This is a retest of this line at this point in time, which it did fail. So, I mean, if you want to put things in terms of a, hey Ethan, can you take that elsewhere, buddy? So if you want to think of it in terms of a point system, which I don't have one worked out yet, but there's actually precedent for a point system in terms of calling tops and markets. So I'm working on that. But in terms of a point system, we have a negative one by being underneath this line. We have a positive one by this large upward candle on the largest volume of the move. That's a plus sign. And we have a minus sign right now by it failing this test of the neckline. It's also still underneath this descending trend line. So, I mean, overall, we're still bearish. But even in the intermediate term, we have these large downside candles. This one was apparently a little bit of exhaustion selling, which preceded this kind of descending flag, this bear flag, if you will, which led us a little bit lower. So we'll see where we go from here. Yeah, you can hit little buddy. So we'll see where we go from here. So this could. Sorry guys, I'm just really waking up over here. So it's actually drifting lower. It's not drifting upward. So this is drifting upward on lower volume. The volume started to increase a little bit over here. See these larger spikes? You see this large green spike, which pretty much topped this upward move right here. And then this larger red spike really just killed that, really just killed like all of this going back until, I mean, just killed a lot of this move, this particular red bar did. So, and now we have another one. So we're actually drifting lower is what we're doing. Now if you want to zoom out, and take long-term view, which is always healthy. You always want to take a pretty long-term view. We don't really have a well-defined trend line here yet. We could put, like I said, we could put a lower low in here, which would be healthy. So if we end up with a lower low at some point, that's going to be healthy for some more trading. And then we'll really have to see what happens up here, because you can kind of think of it like momentum. And you know, in the market they call it momentum trading, and it's for a reason. It's because the momentum is like, you know, rolling a ball downhill. You know, at some point it's really hard to stop that ball. And so right now we're trying to roll the ball uphill, if you will, and we have a pretty nice push right here. And now we're losing a little momentum. We need to see it. We need to see it gain a wave or two of momentum before we can call this overall downtrend complete. And I'm still talking intermediate term. Now, in crypto, intermediate term means a day or two, right? I mean, that's crypto intermediate term. I mean, pretty much everyone's day trading these things, especially at this particular point. So, get back to the chat here. ARK finished our smart bridge project. Well, I looked at the ARK chart, I think, when you mentioned a little bit ago, and the price isn't necessarily reflecting that action. I only trade based on price. I don't trade based on news or technical events, because news or technical events don't buy more ARK. The crowd buys more ARK. So when we're dealing with the markets here, guys, you need to be aware of the news. You need to keep them in the back of your head, but you can't trade based off of news. Like if you were to base off of that news article right now, it wouldn't be doing you a lot of good. Now you can move ARK higher up on your watch list. You can do that, right? So there's certain steps you need to make before you actually complete a trade. I mean, there's kind of a checklist that you need to have. And actually, I should probably make that checklist. Especially if you're finding a coin from the news or from Twitter or something like that. Now, this doesn't say you can't complete that checklist in 30 seconds. I mean, you can complete a checklist in 30 seconds. I mean, that part's easy, but you need to have some kind of an orderly system. Thoughts on Neo and Pay? Neo had some pretty nice action last night. Yeah, watch it ran all the way up here. Looks like we're back down here. So, thoughts on Neo here? We had this trend line that was nicely broken to the upside, so that's a good thing. This may be a good place to take on some Neo, especially for trading. So we have this trend line which was broken to the downside. We now have this trend line which has been broken to the upside. Now, I wouldn't put too much reliance on this trend line going forward, because it is so upward sloped. You pretty much take these trend lines on a smaller term scale, unless you're looking at like a daily. Okay, so we can remove that trend line. That's been broken. That trend line is already dead. So now we see this trend line here, and this was broken here on some pretty good volume. Let me zoom in, make sure that's a factual statement. Well, it's at least bottomed by some pretty good volume. And on the upside here, there was quite a bit of selling, which tested this trend line and it held up. And so I would say whichever way we break out of this consolidation, I would take a you could take a run to the upside on Neo if you want to. If you're a longer term holder, we know that Neo's been in a very large consolidation going back quite some time, and all the way back to, well, a month. Really, just a month? Feels like Neo's been basing for 6 months, but I guess in a 24/7 market, 1 month is about 4 months. You know, Do you have name or nickname we can call you by? Have you changed your opinion since your 1200 video? Do you still see that potentially happening? People call me RC in the chat room. I'm fine with that. You can also at Real Crypto me in the chat room. That'll pop a red box up so I see it. You know, Victor, you've been here long enough. I don't mind you calling me Randy. Frederick does as well. You know, so many guys been here longer term. I don't mind you guys knowing my real name. Not a huge issue. And have I changed my opinion since my 1200 video? So my 1200 video is less of an opinion than it is a market analysis. Okay? So that's to say that I'm keeping Bitcoin 1200 in the back of my mind, but until the market proves me, if the market has some really good bullish signals and starts curving upwards here, I'm trading. I'm in. Okay, I'm trading. It doesn't mean we can't stop up here, you know, and if we do stop at some point, then that will definitely come into play. Or if we go directly downwards from here, that would come into play. But I don't anticipate that happening. If you notice these trend lines that form in almost any chart tend to get tested quite regularly. So here's a large white gap in this downtrend from earlier in the year. And look, it's hugged, tested, tested, hugged, tested, failed, tested, failed, and then it was finally broken through at some point. So while you see a bar like this, see this large green volume bar, see this large green volume bar with the large volume to back it up, while you do see these, it doesn't necessarily indicate 100% that it's the end. So it can drift lower. So this is lower in the pattern. I mean, this kind of feels like down here. I mean, they're not exact, right? They're not exact, but they're pretty close. And the fact that we failed this trend line, we failed this neckline up here at this level. Now, keep in mind, this was only yesterday. And kind of something I said might happen did happen. I said yesterday before I got off my morning stream, I said, it looks like we might chop around the rest of the day. Or maybe it was my midday stream. I said, we may chop around the rest of the day. And we actually did that. And I wasn't super happy with that action. And then when I did my video in the evening, I mentioned, hey, you know, it's okay to trade, but keep your stops tight, because it wasn't really healthy action. It wasn't what you would be expecting in a move like this. This is the pattern for a bottom you want to follow. You want to look at prior bottoms, and you want to see what those look like so you can kind of ascertain. So there were no bottoms up here. These were bases, right? So these were bases back in Ethereum. These were bases. I mean, here's a type of a bottom, but I mean, this is just one day, and it was a much different market than it is today. But you know, this is a base. You know, so notice it came up. This wasn't a very steep trend line. This trend line at the top was much more flat than we see today. Right? These are very steep trend lines. So these less steep trend lines are definite bases, and you can always infer an upward movement out of these. But when you have these deeper and these more angular descending trend lines, they are definitely a point of contention and resistance, and they need to be heated. Could I link? What do you mean, Victor? Link to what? So Frederick the Wyckoff, that's more stock stuff. Everything you're going to read comes from the stock market. Everything you're going to read. Yeah, sure. So I have a request for Edge. Let's do Edge, and I'll be definitely happy to draw a trend line with you. Oh, edgeless. Yeah. So I'm actually in edgeless. I'm still holding a position. Let me check it out. Check my Bittrex this morning. Yeah, actually, edgeless is my largest holding out in my trading account right now. My trading account is I'm only about 25% invested right now, and it's in these smaller coins. I've got edgeless, Patient Tory from a few days ago, OK Cash, and a little bit of digital note from a buddy of mine, but it's a pretty small amount. I'd say that's about 1% of my account. I don't even know why I have it. So edgeless looks pretty good. If let's go deeper into the 15-minute here. I'm not super mad at the action up here. There is some selling, some nice large selling bars. It could be due, I don't know, it could be due anything. This thing tends to trade around, but it does have an overall upward trend, especially with this increased volume. So that's why I've been holding it. Like I said, it's a really small position for me. It's not my entire. It's not my entire. Not by a long shot. I'm still like 95% cash or 25%. I'm 75% cash in my trading account, and I'm 100% cash in my core account. And someone mentioned, Avi had mentioned Yoda. Yoda, I've never heard of Yoda. Let's check out. Am I getting that right? Aviad Yoda. I can't pull that up here in TradingView. If you can give me an actual symbol, I could definitely check it out. Bitcoin long term to 500 for a few years, and then another giant peak. Robert, I have it going down to 1200 if it gets down that low. So I've got a video actually, Bitcoin 1200. Go ahead and check that out just for some analysis on how and why that could possibly happen. I don't want to bore everybody with that. So I'm gonna wait to hear from Avioid. Where is the chat? Aviad. Oh, IOTA. Gotcha. Why didn't you say so? That's a horse of a different color. I actually have IOTA in here. I don't know why I did that. Trend lines in IOTA. So my main trend line that I have in IOTA at this particular moment in time, and I mentioned this to someone yesterday in the chat, is the 50-cent level. It does get broken through quite a bit. We actually could probably move this lower, but let's draw another trend line. Actually, let's draw a horizontal line. It's kind of sitting right on it when you think about it. So there's a lower trend line in IOTA. There's the 50-cent trend line. 50 cent mainly because it's just kind of a psychological barrier. As you can see, there's a lot of choppiness around 50 cents, but even when it's faded, it does go higher. So maybe this lower trend line at about 47 cents is a more valid one. Victor, if you have the feeling that there's more downside, I would definitely consider increasing your cash position. That is always a good trading strategy. And by cash, I mean fiat currency, US dollar tether, whatever that is, from where you are. So there is another trend line in IOTA. I mean, there's a lot of trend lines in IOTA, actually. There's quite a few, but here's a nice trend line. There's a very nice trend line, for the intermediate term in IOTA. This is a longer term trend line that I drew. So all are valid. All are valid, but if you notice in IOTA too, the trend lines are kind of descending a little bit. So, and we keep testing these lows, we keep going down. It's just a coin that I'm not interested in doing. So Frederick has some good choices there. Lisk and Cloak. Go ahead and keep those on your radar. Qdom. Let's take a look at Qdom. Qdom is apparently being hit really hard by the China thing. I don't know a ton about Qdom, but I do know that China is affecting them quite significantly. They have a very well defined downward trend line. And right now they're sitting kind of down here at this support level. Let's zoom out to the 4-hour chart, or that little trend line. Actually still holds some weight, so still being pushed down by this trend line. It's still kind of holding this trend line right here. So I wouldn't do anything until this is broken to the upside, and even if it was, you still need to have a stop loss in place. This is such a steep trend line. See, this is more of a trend line you actually want to trade off of longer term. Something like that, where longer term you have levels being tested, and then so this may curl up at some point and test here. So even if it does break this trend line, you need to keep this longer term trend line in mind. And we have some other coins that have these longer term trend lines that have really never been Like here, NEO is an example of that, is a prime example of that. So I'm still gonna draw that line on NEO. So tested, 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 failed. So until we get above this trend line, so here's a trend line, right? That NEO, well, it never really tested it and broke out. I think we saw a little bit of that in another coin. Hey, Frederick, I was on Node's live stream yesterday. I didn't see you there, buddy. I would have said hi. I said hi to a few people from the chat here. Yeah, he did have a good point about Litecoin. He did have a good point about Litecoin. 35% of their volume being in China. I wasn't aware of that. So, excuse me, guys. What that could mean is that not that Litecoin goes. What it does is it takes some of the volume out of Litecoin. Okay. So, and that may or may not be a good thing, because if China is selling a lot of Litecoin for whatever reason, it doesn't mean that other areas of the world couldn't try to accumulate Litecoin. But it is an interesting fact to note. Definitely an interesting fact to note. Yeah, and the fact that Litecoin had this massive down move, actually further than most other coins, could definitely lend a bit of credence to that notion that weakness in China for Litecoin could be longer term. So that could be a factor in this as well. So the charts could be lending credence to the fact that, yes, indeed, China is a huge volume trader of Litecoin, and that could be a very bad thing for Litecoin. So the charts are kind of showing you that as well. Even without actually knowing that, you could infer that from within this charts. I think this had one of the deepest pullbacks, and I actually didn't even think about that until just now. It's done like 65% so far, and that's not a good sign when something tanks 65%. Ivan, thank you very much. What are my thoughts on upcoming Ethereum hard fork impact on prices? I don't think there's going to be any necessarily, not even a good phrase. I don't think there's necessarily going to be any impact on the prices from the hard fork. Market participants go ahead and do that. Market participants determine the prices. The Ethereum consortium does not. So I would go ahead and listen to the charts and keep the news in the back of your mind. You're in a hurry, buy Ethereum for long term or still wait. I'm in the waiting camp right now. I have waited. If you have to go away on vacation for a week or so, I'd say sure, maybe take a small position. I don't know, but it still looks weak to me, and I am still in cash, so I'm waiting. So I mentioned Syscoin. I don't have a dog in that fight either way. Let's see what the charts say. So the charts has Sys sitting here at these lows. I'm not a big fan of coins sitting at lows like this. I'd be more more likely to invest in something like Edgeless, which is pointing higher, than Sys, which is pointing lower. Right. So here's Edgeless pointing towards the sky right now. This is a much better acting coin than something that's pointing lower. Now, the rationale behind that is, yes, you want to buy low and sell high. That's kind of something that's put out there in the world time and time again. However, no one knows how low is low, right? So let's go back to Ethereum. And that's kind of what we're dealing with in Ethereum right now. Everybody wants to buy at the low. They're all scared that they're going to miss out the low, so they just want to buy. And that's fine if you don't have time to actively look at the markets. But if you do, you kind of want to, if you want to buy like at these extreme lows, I mean, all I know is that next time that I'm up and I see it kind of failing, I'm just staying up all night. I don't know. These things always bottom out when I'm asleep, and then so I'm either going to stay up all night or I'm going to put in some. I may start putting in some buy orders down at extremes, like Bitcoin 3,000. Ethereum at a certain level, and I'll talk about how to do that. Navcoin. Take a look at Navcoin. So I have Navcoin against the dollar. So Navcoin has this longer descending trend line as well. And the same thing's going to happen for anything under a descending trend line like this. You're going to want to go ahead and wait until it clears this trend line. Or if it's underneath here and you see some really good action, then you can go ahead and maybe take some positions. But right now, let's dig down a little deeper. Oh yeah, it came up, failed this trend line twice. Not a big fan right here. If you see some actual bottoming action, which we don't have yet here, this looks like it has another leg down. I'm not going to be in it. I'm going to stay out of it. IOTA, we already went over IOTA. IOTA is just, it's underneath a lot of selling pressure. It's underneath a lot of selling pressure, and it's just really not showing a lot of strength right now. Look at all my pretty lines. That's a joke, by the way. PTC. I don't know if I do PTC. Oh, patient. Is that patient area? Patient area? No, it's PTO. Let's look at PTC. Caseta coin. Haven't heard of that one. What's the market cap on that? Down 14% today. I can already tell you I'm not a fan. Anything down 14%, I'm not a fan. Yeah, so a very feeble bounce. We're on the 4-hour chart here. A very feeble bounce to the upside. And a failure just basically due because of that feeble bounce. So there's a lot of coins here that have a lot of downward action that were, you guys looking at these lower term, these smaller coins, definitely don't. I wouldn't put a lot of weight into them. Don't put a lot of your account into them. Yeah, Justin, kind of did a Bitcoin update. It's looking shaky. That's kind of the update. You kind of have it right on the head there. Yeah, guys, so I wouldn't base your trading strategy on my Bitcoin 1200 because there's a lot of time that's going to happen between now and Bitcoin 1200. There's going to be some trading opportunities, and I don't want you guys to say, oh, Randy said Bitcoin 1200, so I'm never buying Bitcoin until it hits 1200. That's not what that video is meant for. So 2 babies and 1 lady in the background. 1 3-year-old is going to go see a live show of Paw Patrol, for those of you that have children, and 1 is playing Roblox. And he's smiling because he's playing Roblox, right, Ethan? So. All right, give me a hug, James. That's for you. Oh, thank you very much. Give me a hug. Love you. Love you, babe. They are off. Yeah, Ivan. So the Bitcoin 1200 video, I'm not basing my entire trading strategy on that. Don't get me wrong. The more that we see bearish action, the more that we hover below these trend lines, the more bearish action we see, the more that I'm holding for that potential possibility, right? So that is still, I think that could still be in the cards. But again, it's in the back of my head. Excuse me, guys. I'm going to take a drink. Yeah, so it's in the back of my head. But if I see bearish action, it just brings itself more to the forefront. It basically tells me that, hey, you know what? Long term, this maybe could be a huge top. This is a possibility. Okay? And I always try to think in terms of possibilities. I don't think in terms of certainties. I definitely try not to put my opinion on the market too much. Someone mentioned Lisk. I'll get to Lisk, and then I'll do Neo again, and then I will Do BAT. Oh, I already forgot the order of that. Lisk first. Lisk. So, not liking this particular action in Lisk right here. I was really happy with it when it was holding up in this high consolidation pattern. It since broke down in pretty good volume and kind of has the pattern of the overall market right now. Lisk against Bitcoin looks a little bit healthier than Lisk against the dollar, obviously because Bitcoin has been tanking, so Lisk is going to look healthier. But against the dollar, it looks a little low. Kind of looks like low-hanging fruit, not in a good way. Don't think of that as a good thing. So we're hanging below this trend line here. Kind of chop it around some levels. You want to see some bullish action in Lisk before you jump in there. NEO looks pretty interesting for a trade. If you go to the 15-minute chart specifically, I think we talked a little bit about this. We talked about. Hey buddy, can you keep it down a little bit? I'm sorry. Thank you. Appreciate that. Eat your waffle before it gets cold. So NEO had this declining trend line here that was broken to the upside. So I think you're clear to trade as of here. But here's a level to keep an eye on, this 18 level. See, you have it tested here and it went up. It tested here and it went up. It was broken and then back up, and now we're testing it again. So it goes below 18. I think that's your get out point for sure. That's your get out point for sure. But I think you are okay to trade. I don't know if I'd place a trade here. I mean, it looks like we could be poised to go back down below 18. And if you do notice, sorry guys, sometimes these charts are hard to wrangle. And if you do notice, this longer term trend line on NEO was tested after we came out of this after we broke out of this and failed. So we could continue lower from here as well. And BAT. What's BAT? Is this the Batman coin? Oh, basic attention. It's the Batman coin. Ethan, we have a Batman cryptocurrency. Do you like that? Yeah, I'm joking. There's no Batman cryptocurrency. So basic attention token. What does this do anyways? I don't even know what basic attention token does. If you guys can't tell by my voice, I'm still not feeling super hot. So all of my opinions are suspect. Yeah, basic attention is moving into this trend line. You want to see what it does at this trend line. If it goes above this trend line, then I think you could do a nice trade. Something like NEO where it popped quite significantly, right? So NEO had a nice trade. I was probably sleeping during that too. So NEO had a nice trade above this trend line here. Now it did come down and instantly retest it. So you need to be prepared for that. Let's take a look at that so you guys see that. So this trend line was broken to the upside. Depending on how you draw it, you could draw it here. I drew it here because there's more tops tested right here. That's why I let this little poke get sold through, and some cups decided to fall on their own. So we broke to the upside here. So we can retest this trend line and come back up. But say you did buy here and you held, you're still up 7% here, and you'd be up 30% overall. So you could have anywhere between, say you sold out here at 15% up to 30% up. You can make some money on these bounces. That's why I'm telling you to not trade, but just be very careful about your trades. TenX, TNEX, James Childerly. Is that 10x like pay 10x? Where's pay? I've got pay in here. Excuse me. Yeah, so I actually had a position in pay. I don't think I have it anymore. I thought I did yesterday, but I actually did not. Yeah, so it like everything else, it's just continuing to fail. Let's draw some long-term trend lines. Guys, when you see these, draw trend lines on your charts. Okay? Draw trend lines on your charts. The second you see multiple points possibly on the same sloping line, draw yourself a chart. So where would I draw this line? You know, we have these two tops right here. We also have this really low. Yeah, maybe something like this. You can try to draw these on the peaks if there's a lot of peaks that line up, or you can try to draw them on the closes. Oh, actually, you lined up pretty good. You can try to draw them on the closes up here. You see these closes? You can try to draw them on the closes, or you can try to draw them on the peaks. But sometimes when you see trend lines like this, I try to make them horizontal. So pay doesn't look healthy until we break a trend line. Advertising, I think you're referring to pay attention token. Brave Browser, never heard of Brave Browser. I'll check it out. BitConnect if willing. I don't know if I'm willing. Is that the one that just... Yeah, I don't get this thing. I think I took it off my charts last night. What the hell is this? What is this? This is like, I can't trade off of this. It's literally impossible. This is like trying to trade some really wide and loose ADRs in the stock market. It just goes up and down. You can't discern anything. I mean, it's just horrible. No, don't trade that. If somehow you know something about that BitConnect and you just want to hold that for years or something, then yeah, maybe go ahead and do that. But I'm not trading this. You can't infer anything from this chart. It looks like my browser's broken. Prediction on 10x pay, James. I have no predictions. I try not to predict. My only prediction is that it's going to be weak until it crosses one of those trend lines. If you didn't, I'm sure you heard about pay. If you have big money on it, they actually had to cancel most of their cards outside of Europe, I think it was. So there's some bad news there. I wouldn't put big money on any singular coin. That's especially, so let me rephrase that. I put big money on singular coins when the charts look extraordinarily bullish. And usually in very large names like Ethereum and Bitcoin. If I'm going to put large money in, say, Omisego, which is a bit of a smaller coin, or IOTA, I watch that chart like a hawk. Because no matter what I think about that technology, I actually really like the IOTA technology. Let's look at IOTA. What does my opinion count for? You know, we came down here, I actually traded it up here at 50 something, ran it up and sold it, and then watched it consolidate. I actually bought in a couple of times because I liked the coin, but didn't care that I liked it. It decided to to go a lot lower. Now, I didn't lose a lot of money because I don't trade based on my likes of things. I trade based off of what the chart is going to do to my money. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna go further down my number one favorite country. Well, I live in the U.S., so I'm just gonna say U.S. If you live in France, I hope you say France. If you live in India, I hope you say India. What's my favorite crypto? My favorite crypto is probably gonna be Bitcoin or Ethereum. Pretty boring answer, huh? Hey, what's up, Yellow Mate? Yeah, definitely bearish on this price action. Definitely bearish on this price action. So the reason why Ethereum and Bitcoin are my favorite Fred Derek 3490. What are you talking about? 3490. Oh, you mean up or down? Yeah, Steven, we covered Edgeless. Edgeless is over there sitting at highs. I don't know if I would get in right now, but if you're in, I wouldn't sell it. I'm not selling mine. I do have some Edgeless. That's actually my largest holding at this particular moment in time. Why do you prefer doing analysis on these altcoins versus USD instead of Bitcoin? Most of these only trade versus Bitcoin, so a lot of people have no reference to the US dollar value when they trade it. You know, I actually started wondering that a little bit last night. Maybe I'll revisit my position on that, Frederick. The reason I do it in US dollars is because it's a more solid of a floor than Bitcoin, right? When you're looking at something versus Bitcoin, which you have to do in some cases, there's some coins that I don't get charts against the US dollar. If you're new to crypto, the Bitcoin versus US dollar, this is the pair. You have to refer a currency to another currency when you're trading it. So, you know, here's NEM and Bitcoin. Here's Monero US dollar. The reason I do the US dollar is because it's more of a solid floor. If I could get everything pegged against the dollar, then I could definitely get more of a even view of things that can kind of be on the same foundation. But if I've got to view something against Bitcoin and something against the US dollar, so maybe that's why NEM looks so weak. I don't know, but yeah, the reason I do it against the dollar is just to have a more solid floor. This gives you a more realistic price action on what the actual coin is doing, you know, versus what it's doing against Bitcoin. And I do understand you have to trade in and out of them in Bitcoin. Trust me, I have to do as well when I trade. But at the same time, if Bitcoin's tanking and I see my coin tanking, I'm going to sell it into Bitcoin, then sell Bitcoin into dollar. So Monero. Someone mentioned Monero. Let's look at Monero. Yeah, not much nice happening here. Not much nice. That's going to be my new phrase. Not much nice. Not much nice. That's pretty funny. Yeah, not much nice. We're well below this trend line here. I mean, just trending lower. Just trending low. Technical, what do I do for a living? I am Director of Operations for a web development firm, web development agency. We build websites and applications and IoT stuff and other stuff. That boy, you bought at 33 and 35. I'm thinking of selling it 36.50 and letting it drop. Let's see here. 36.50 if it gets back up here. Yeah, I mean that may be a strategy. I would just keep in mind. I'm not sure your strategy, that boy, but I would definitely, if you want to be in it longer term and you're going to kick yourself if this thing just rockets here and goes upward, if you want to make that part of your strategy, that's fine. Just be aware that anything's possible in the markets. So if you have it from down here, see, this is the thing when I trade, and sometimes this does bite me in the butt. Sometimes this does bite me in the butt. I will have a really nice profit in something. It'll pull back, and I think it's a normal pullback, and then it just tanks on me. And sometimes I do get bitten by that bug. So you know what, buddy? If you're gonna feel good selling here and taking some profit off the table, I'm not gonna fault you for that. I'm not gonna fault you for that. At the same time, you know, understand your personality and your strategy, and if you would panic buy if it got up to 4,000. You know, you just have to understand that this 4,000 is still on the cards. It still has to be, doesn't have to be tested, but definitely could be tested, these two lows right here. So that's a viable strategy. I like strategies, so I'm not mad at you making money either. So Frederick says the charts seem less logical when you compare to US dollar on some of these altcoins. So I noticed that as well last night. That's why I'm going to revisit. That. I can't do it in the live stream though, but I'm going to revisit doing that versus the USD versus Bitcoin. Do I build web apps in React? I do not build web apps in React. I'm actually more of a Vue fan personally. I have a couple of web apps in Vue that I've been trying to work on, but unfortunately cryptocurrencies take up most of my time these days. Robert says you're not touching cryptos until Bitcoin 1200. My point of Bitcoin 1200 wasn't to make you guys not trade until Bitcoin 1200. It was more to kind of show you a possibility. In other words, I don't want you to be extraordinarily bullish up here because there is a possibility that we do tank lower. But I still would like you guys to trade if that's with your plan. And yeah, that's it. Just be informed. I want you guys to have information. Oh, you do like React? You know, I have a hard time. I'm not a developer. Like I said, I'm a director of operations. I took a job at this company to actually learn developing about 3 years ago. China can break Bitcoin down more, yes. I never got the opportunity to really dive deep into projects with like native JavaScript development. I've kind of been doing it all on my own. So React is a little bit abstracted for me. I find Vue a lot more straightforward and a little easier to actually work in. So that's why I've been picking up Vue. Even asked what are my top indicator tools, price, volume, and trend lines. I may be revisiting my moving averages, which I still have up here. But I'm going to do a little bit of work on that to see which ones work out the best. Edge, yeah, I did look at Edge, Altair, Kavichi. I did look at Edge. It's looking pretty good. I actually have positions in Edge. And yeah, I'm glad I still have my positions. So the reason I got into Edge was because I don't like these initial first lines. They're horribly annoying. Everybody would agree with me there. I mean, Edge was just poking into highs. It was poking into highs. The volume started getting very active, and it was just leaning forward. I don't remember exactly when I got into Edge, but it's performing pretty good. Do these charts really predict 100% accurate? I'm gonna say yes. I can't trade without charts. I mean, I can't trade without charts. 100% accurate means this: if you're willing to adjust your technical point of view with the right side of the chart, then yes, they're very accurate. I won't say 100% because nothing is. I mean, you could have a news event that blows. You could have an extraordinarily bearish chart, right? So say we go to Neo. Say we go to Neo, and I'm not 100% sure on what Neo does. To be honest with you, I think it's a platform coin, but I'm just gonna. Okay, no, let's go. Let's go to. So I don't sound like a complete idiot. Let's go to Ripple. So this is Ripple. This is not overall a very bullish chart. Granted, we are sitting in a high-level consolidation, but news could come out tomorrow that the Federal Reserve is going to use all transactions with Ripple. And what would that do to Ripple? That would just boom, make this thing explode. It would pop instantly, probably like $3 because of the overall exuberance. But if Ripple crossed this trend line, you were able to get in on it, and you didn't know about that news, then yeah, technical analysis is quite profitable. So Vlad, are there any altcoins that are worth investing in during the downtrend? Since you diversify a lot when Bitcoin goes down, everything else also. You invest everything based on its own merit, altcoins included. During extreme downtrends like we had the past couple of days during this week, I don't invest in anything. I really try not to invest in anything because they can just crash. But when the mass selling wave is over, you definitely need to look at those altcoins for positions. Good book to read for technical analysis. Yeah, there's actually there's lots of books on technical analysis. There's one called the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns. I can actually get a link for you guys. Let me do this. That's a good idea. Let me get a list. Let me get a list of books together that are good on technical analysis. I actually have a website, real-crypto.com, that isn't really fully up yet, but I'm gonna put a section on there. I'll do a resources section for you guys. I'll try to find like the best price for the book. I'll do like maybe an affiliate link through Amazon, so if you buy there, I get a little bit of change. If you wouldn't mind doing that, who doesn't like making money? I put a lot of time into this channel. At some point, I'd like it to pay off. So maybe that'll be a little bit of a coin in my pocket if you guys are going to buy the book anyways. But there are several books good on chart analysis. Let me get a list together because off the top of my head, there's one that I'm thinking of that I can't quite remember. Maybe that'll pop in here during the live stream. How do you tell if a coin is about to pop, and how do you tell if it's too late to enter a coin on its pop? So I'm going to go back to OK Cash, which is probably the most recent pop that I traded. Um, okay, so I actually bought we bought OK Coin or OK Cash. I bought OK Cash right here. I bought it right here. We saw it in the live stream several days ago. Is that a week now? 9/9/9/16. Wow, that's a week. Okay, so we saw it about a week ago. I do still have a position in OK Cash. I rebought over here actually. Um, you can tell a coin is about to pop when it is kind of poking its head upward. The best way to tell is if you come out of a large consolidation like this. This is a large consolidation in OK Cash, and then we popped higher, and then we went sideways. So you want to buy a coin, first of all, when it's coming out of a large base like this. This is your initial point to buy this coin. And this is really where you want to buy it. You want to buy it right when it breaks out and on volume. What do I mean by on volume? So let's go down to the 15-minute chart. So here's the 15-minute chart. Here's that long here's that long downtrend. Let's get over here so volume, you can see volume a little bit better. I guess you're not going to be able to. So here, it tests the trend line. See how this has a higher low from this? This is good. It tested up here, and then it came back, and we have still a higher low, and then we start curling upwards. This is extraordinarily good action. We have a series of tests of the line, and we have a series of lower highs, and then we're kind of living at the line. We break through it, and then, boom, you probably get on one of these bars right here. Even any of these bars, so you have this little area right here to get in really early, and that's really the best time that you want to buy. But if you notice on this 15-minute chart, that's only like an hour or two block, and this is at midnight. I would have missed this, and I did miss this. A chart reading for dummies book. I haven't seen that book. I'll have to look at that one. Long-term hold versus daily trading with price fluctuations. So that's a good that's a very good question. You have very good questions. Keep bringing them. Keep bringing them. Um, Long-term hold versus daily trading with price fluctuations. I am a long-term holder. Okay, you guys are catching me at a moment in time where this is a bearish market, so I do look very intraday. Let me show you where I initially entered Ethereum. Go out to the daily chart. Oh, here we go. So when I got involved in the market during this cycle, from a background, if you don't know, I've been trading stocks for a very long time, over 15 years. Been involved in the market for 20, but really actively trading for about 15. And I got in at 316 was my initial buy-in for Ethereum. So I got it after this consolidation, after the breakout of this pop. So I got it about 316 right here. I held all the way up here. I held all the way back down through here. And then I sold out with a very slight profit. Unfortunately, Coinbase took my profit as a fee. And then I moved to the GDAX. That's another story. So I did get out flat, but I was holding for a possible um, handle here. So long term, I would be, when this gets down at really low levels, when we finally bottom, I will be a long-term holder of my positions. And then at the same time, you call that your core position. And then I'm still a trader. I still enjoy trading. I like the game. So I still have a trading account, okay, which is about, 20%. Well, now it's like 17%. It started being 10%, now it's 17%. I'm up 70% in my trading account. um, so I will trade with with more of the position. I can't talk, guys. I'm sorry. I will trade with that extra money outside of my core position. My core position is more of a long-term hold. Sorry, guys. There's been a lot of chat since that shout out there. How'd you tell what is bearish versus bullish consolidation? Bullish consolidation is after an uptrend. Bearish consolidation is after a downtrend. It's really as simple as that. I'm trying to think of something that's had both. Maybe Ripple. Maybe Ripple has had both a bearish and a bullish consolidation. So this is a bullish consolidation. This is a bullish consolidation. This is a bullish consolidation after a prior uptrend. Bullish consolidation, uptrend, bullish, uptrend, bullish. Now here we came downtrend after we peaked here and came down. This is actually a bearish consolidation, although it did pop up. Notice that we came down to a lower bearish consolidation, popped up. So this is a bullish consolidation. And this is failing. So a bullish consolidation is after an uptrend. A bearish consolidation is after a downtrend. Thoughts on differences between trading equities and cryptocurrencies? How does the 27 crypto market affect you? How the mass psychology, more novice traders in cryptos, more FUD. Dat boy. So from my experience, the hardest part about the crypto market is the 24/7 cycle. I can't be up to trade it. Man, I was trading stocks this last week, and it was really nice to shut my computer off at 1 p.m. I'm sitting live streaming with you guys at 9:45 a.m. Where if this was a stock channel, I wouldn't be doing this. So I'll actually have some FAQs on my website that I'm working on that are up there. Sorry guys, a little bit behind in the chat. I'm going to creep up. Do you update Twitter with any thoughts or moves you're making personally? Yes, Derek, I do. I'm not as active. You know what? I started my Twitter, I think, the day before yesterday, and I'm trying to stay active on it. So I will update my thoughts. But this is the thing. I don't want to inundate you guys with updates because if you guys are trading, kind of take my last tweet, my last video to be my thoughts. If things change, I really try to jump on and give you guys some opinions. So if you see I pop up with a live stream, pop on because that means there's something to talk about. If you see that, in other words, I'm trying to keep my last communication my most up-to-date kind of market analysis. Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, I could do Bitcoin Cash. That's dollar. Let's get these confused. Yeah, guys, take a look at this chart. I will be back in a few moments. I'll be right back. Give me just a couple moments. I'm back. Man, my little sickness I've got going on here is kind of getting me. Takes a while to ramp up. It's ramping up. The Bitcoin Cash, I mean, it's the same chart like everything else, man. Same chart like everything else. So, right, you look at Bitcoin Cash. Look at Ethereum. We had the same pop yesterday. Bitcoin Cash looks, I don't know if it's more bearish or more bullish, but looks about the same. Looks a little bit bearish. Looks a little more bearish than Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash, but it really wasn't doing too well to begin with. So I'm really neutral on it. It wouldn't be my favorite coin. So, okay, everyone, get out your pieces of paper right now. Get out your pieces of paper. Write down a nugget of knowledge. Hey, nugget of knowledge. I should make that a thing. You guys like that, or is that too weird? So, nugget of knowledge here. You have the option to choose between 366 or 88 coins these days. What is it these days? 865 currencies. You have the choice to trade between 865 currencies. If you're going to put your money at risk, you put your money at risk in the best 1 to 2 to 3 coins. That's it. That's it. You have 865 currencies to trade from. You don't need to be in all of these currencies. You need to be in the best ones. You need to be in the ones that have the best price action. You need to be in the ones that have the biggest market cap so you don't get shaken out of them and whipsawed. You need to be in the best coins. You don't need to be in all of them. All right, nugget of knowledge done. Are you hearing some crackling sounds on my microphone? Is everyone else hearing that? Anyone else hearing crackling in the microphone? My Twitter name is @RealCrypto. I'll post it in the chat. Actually, it's Real Crypto Trading. Real Crypto Trade. That's my Twitter handle. What's going on with this cracking? If I restarted, Frederick, yesterday after I restarted, did that get rid of it? I've kept the same microphone settings as I did yesterday. No, well, I kept the gain low. Let me check my settings. I can turn it down a little more. Let me turn it down a little more. Alright, turn it down a little more, not too much. Looks like a few of you follow me on Twitter. Thank you. Just got the notifications. Yeah, it's now like 65 or something. It's not crackling, it's a noise. Huh. I do have another mic here I could try, but it's not as pointed. I'm actually using the Apple ones. Let me switch to a different mic. Is this better? Is this okay? This is my other bigger microphone. How does this sound? So I'll do this for a little while. I'll chat like this, and you guys can let me know how it sounds. Let's look at Bitcoin. What are we doing? Bouncing a little bit. The 15-minute. Looking at the 15-minute, we're still in this lower level consolidation. What do I love about Ether over Bitcoin? You know, I have a gate effect set on both mics. Oh, you know what? I think I do have a gate effect on both mics. It's actually on my streaming. See if I can adjust this on the fly. I was having some issues with my audio and background noise, so I did set some audio. Oh, it's on my audio properties. Check it out. Sound became revert changes. Changes reverted. How's that? Is that a little bit better? I reverted back to my original microphone. And maybe I'll play with these gate settings on this particular one. Go to filters. I do have a noise gate. I can lower my threshold. Lower my threshold here. Okay, so I'm gonna hold time, lower that. Release time, we'll lower that. We'll lower a few things here. Thanks for the feedback, guys. I really appreciate it. It's kind of hard to do these things. Okay. NLC2 seems to be popping. What is NLC2? I'm not quite sure what that is. Cloakcoin. Cloakcoin. Yes, I can look at Cloakcoin. So I think I actually sold out of my Cloakcoin. I think. Let me go look at my Bittrex positions. I do not have Cloakcoin. I have Edgeless, Patientori, OK Cash, and a smidgen of Digital Note because of my buddy Adam. If you guys remember my buddy Adam. Way better sound now, not clipping. Yeah, I lowered a bunch of, I lessened my noise gate, I lessened a bunch of things. So, following up on your previous question, how would you read reversal correction? Sometimes if I see a coin performing too well, I get skeptical on the correction. Let me try to see exactly what you say about that. A good re-entry point for Cloakcoin? Sorry, I just saw that. It's a little higher up in the chat. I don't think Cloakcoin's done necessarily. I don't think it's done. I don't have a good answer for you there. I'm not really good at. I need the chart really needs to have a little bit more history. Um, it has a bit of an upward slope to this. I'm not a fan of upward sloping anything usually. Um, so we're sitting up here in this channel. We could break down lower. You want to look for a break of some kind of a trend line, in my opinion. So we have a bit of a trend line here across these 3, 4 highs. So you can maybe buy it off of that. But the volume is always a good indicator. There is quite a bit of red bars. There's quite a bit of selling in here. Um, we had some nice green pops over here, although there's still quite a bit of red. I mean, you can just tell there's not a market consensus that this is going to go higher. You want to wait for a change in all this red volume to go more green. Like if you see more times like this, see these big green pops right here. You see more of these big green pops and less of the big red pops. Like this is a healthy action. Um, you see, note it was actually rewarded with some upward movement, but then they sold right into it. So you just want to see some more healthy action. Like this would have been a good trend line to buy in off of right here. So that's a good trend line. You got your pop right there, but then it was faded instantly. So you just want to see overall strength. Right now it's very indecisive. Would it be wise to take a position now into Bitcoin or Ethereum? So we're in a holding pattern right now in both of those coins. We're in a holding pattern. Well, we're still in the 15-minute here. So yeah, we're in a holding pattern. We bounced here last night, as we're familiar with. We came up here and we rolled over a little bit, and then we cracked. We didn't crack as hard as we did up here in. So here, see that same pattern here? Rolled over and cracked down. Came up and cracked down. We're in a similar pattern here. So notice that this chopped around for a while. This is going to do the same thing. This is going to chop around for a while. It may scare you with a shakedown. I mean, this swung you both ways, right? So this swung you both ways. This was the right shoulder in the head and shoulders on Ethereum. And so after it bottomed here, it came up. And I didn't notice it was quite a right-hand shoulder yet until it cracked down. And then it dawned on me it's an actual shoulder. I thought it was just a shakeout. And then it cracked. And then ever since then, for quite a little bit of time, was that 3 days, 4 days, we went sideways, right? We went sideways. We moved to the downside. We shook a bunch of people out. Then we moved to the upside and bull trapped a bunch of people. And then we sold off again. We could do something like that again here. And that's why I keep saying it's good to trade here, because there's some moves in here. Like if you bought here up to here, you could have caught some money. Same with here. You're good to do some trades, but keep your stops tight. And we still have yet to hit this trend line again. And the more we hit this trend line and fail against it, we're still in that downtrend. You just have to keep that defensive mindset. So Wong Yai said, following my previous question, how would I read a reversal correction? Sometimes if I see a coin performing too well, I get skeptical on the correction. And I kind of just went over that here a little bit. So here Ethereum was performing extraordinarily well. I guess I got to zoom out to the 2-hour chart. So here Ethereum was performing extraordinarily well, right? We came all the way down from these lows of $180. We came down from these lows of 180, pull back, we went higher, pull back, we went higher, pull back, we went higher, pull back. Totally expected us to go higher. We didn't. So at some point, all of our assumptions are going to be incorrect. All of our assumptions are going to be incorrect. And you have to be prepared for that notion. So how do you tell if a reversal is good or not? Well, you really look for volume. You look for strong and weak price action. So these sell-offs were abrupt with higher volume, and there was no more selling. Okay, no more selling. So with this one, you see kind of an abrupt sell-off, but you see continued red bars. You see continued red bars. That's how you can tell that a correction is less than normal. So that's how you can tell. And you'll just start to get the feel for it. You'll start to look at charts and be like, yeah, you know what? This just isn't looking healthy. This is not looking healthy. Something will give you that feeling that we're just kind of edging lower, and That's the feeling that I get. Can you go over NEM? Sorry if you're spamming. You're not spamming. Go over NEM. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of NEM. I mean, it's just really choppy. It's got this really long term, had this huge parabolic move, and it takes a while to consolidate that. And keep this in mind, guys. So NEM's been consolidating, I think this one says since May. NEM's been consolidating since May. Why? Why has NEM been consolidating since May? Well, it had an exponential run up, right? It had this huge run up. It went up multi thousands of percent, 3,000% almost. So it's going to take a while for that to consolidate, and it's been doing that. It's been doing that, and it's been taking a long time. I mentioned that because you look at my Bitcoin 1200 video, we have the same run up in Bitcoin. It's the same run up. It's called a parabolic move. This isn't unique to NEM. This isn't unique to Ethereum. This isn't unique to Bitcoin. It's a parabolic run up. Anytime you get a parabolic run up, that's the 1999 stock market crash was because of a parabolic run up. And when you get those parabolic moves, they take time to consolidate. And what's happening during that consolidation is people are selling and selling and selling and selling and selling and selling, and then eventually everybody sells. We get a flattening out, and then the next catalyst takes us higher. So, yeah. The only thing I do like about NEM here, if you're kind of like a longer term holder, I do like all this large volume. I do like this volume flattening out here. I do like this kind of larger volume. So I would keep an eye on it, but I wouldn't put too much money to work. I'm a little behind in the chat, guys. Give me a second to catch up. So Paul kind of hit it right on the head here. The only way to understand technical analysis is just to spend time in the charts. I mean, you can look at patterns. You can look at, history is very good. You can start to notice certain patterns come out. You can start to notice levels of resistance. You can start to notice trend lines, but you have to spend time on it. This is a skill like anything else. Can I explain how a shakeout is initiated? So a shakeout typically happens with an expectation. I'll go back to the shakeout. So this is a nice shakeout. Let's go back to the 15-minute. This is a nice little shakeout. Sorry guys, trying to gain my bearings in these charts. All right. Okay, here's our shakeout. Okay. So here's your shakeout, right? It's just a little shakeout, nothing crazy to write home about, but we had a consolidation, or we had this was the sell-off, the right side of the head and shoulders. I'm gonna call it pretty soon here, guys. My sinuses aren't doing too hot. I can't talk, so probably not good for a live stream. Anyway, so we're selling off, blah 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 blah, and then we start to make a lower low, and then we go lower again, and we kind of come right back, right? So this is a definition of a shakeout. A shakeout is essentially a shorter term sell-off that gets retraced immediately, just to reduce some weak holders from their positions. Essentially what it's for. And that's also exactly what a bull trap is to trap people into buying, and then they'll sell it off. And then these people are going to sell again, increasing the sell-off. So it's kind of hard to know what's a shakeout until it's over with. You can kind of just get the feeling for it. Kind of hard to explain. Yeah, not doing so good right now, guys. Sorry. So I'm gonna call it, guys. I'm not doing so hot. I'm gonna go take a rest. So be on the defensive. let the market prove to you that it's worth your money. It's not proving it to me right here. So yeah, see, look, large selling to the downside here, a little bit lack of buying to the upside. So you're welcome, guys. Subscribe if you haven't. Spread the Twitter, spread the channel. I see some of these guys with a lot more subscribers, and I'm sorry I'm not that flashy with my videos, but it is what it is. All right, guys, have a good day.